Hi, I'm Sophia Haber Brock, and welcome to A Year in Quarantine. Today, I'm joined by the Mayor of Middletown, Mayor Tony Perry. So, the last time we spoke, we were in week 3 of lockdown, and now it's been more than a year living in this pandemic. So, a year ago, did you expect us to be here for this long?
Well, I expected for some things to be prolonged and for us to be here in 2021 with some of the things that we had to continue to deal with, right? To keep the health and wellness and the safety of our residents. There's some things that I wish would come back a little bit faster. But it's great to start seeing so many people being able to get the vaccine and the distribution of the vaccine to those that want it. I think is very important. I was just at Bayshore Medical Center where they have now vaccinated just that hospital alone over 10,000 people, which is great. You had to know that there was going to be some, stragglers and things that the masks and ensuring that everyone, those around us, our loved ones, and then those you come in contact with on a daily basis, continue to remain safe, right? Because not everyone has had the opportunity to get the vaccine yet. So we have to continue to be safe. But it's really a medical miracle when you think of that. Just a year ago, I can't believe it was week 3 when you and I did this the first time.
Yeah.
Wow, that's unbelievable to think about. But it's really a medical miracle to think that in that short amount of time, that you were able, the pharmaceutical companies and some of the smartest medical professionals in the world, and most of them being right here in the United States, were able to come up with a vaccine and be able to have more than 100 more than 100 million people be able to get that vaccine. That's the goal, right? So we keep going. But yeah, I knew that there was going to be some things that we were still going to have to deal with.
Yeah, that's incredible that so many people have been able to get vaccinated already. So we also spoke about the importance of a routine. So how important was that this past year?
Well, I think I told you that the last time I was with you, routines in this job are hard to create because your day to day is just all over the place. Even today I was going from one call to talk to you, and I was a couple of minutes late for that. But that's that's just one of those things. Yet you do have to find yourself in a routine that you're able to at least know that a certain part of your day is going to be consistent and understanding. But the great thing, the reason I love being the mayor is because there is no repeats of days. You have a lot of firsts, and you have a lot of meetings that you think you've sat in before, but you really haven't. And but getting into, a lot of people get into these routines of, ensuring their own mental well-being. And, that's why it was so important for me to keep the parks open, keep the beaches open and things like that, so that people had those escapes. So I'm not sure I found myself in a day-to-day routine, but I sometimes felt like I was in a year-to-year routine. But it's you try and keep certain things at least consistent, so that you set aside time for your family, your friends, and those you care about, especially.
And last year you said that your wife was expecting, so congratulations, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, she's Reagan's around here somewhere. I don't know where, but she might be able to pay a visit in a couple minutes before the end of this interview.
How old is she now?
She's well, you scared me when you said that we talked week 3 of the interview. She's now 7 months. She's going on 8 months in the middle of April. So time flies. Time absolutely flies by.
Yeah, definitely. How's it been Obviously, you've never raised a child like not in quarantine, but how has
Yeah.
it been raising her in quarantine or in the pandemic?
Well, so here's so
Hi.
the say hi. Hi.
She's so cute.
Um, yeah, so it's tough. It is tough. Hi. You say hi. It is tough a little bit. It's tough on the parents, I think, especially because both of us are still working, right? Being mayor is not a full time job. So while I'm doing my full time job, I'm also being the mayor. Oh, you go here. Um, so it's I think it's harder on the parents, and my wife's done a big time chunk of the taking care of, so that I can continue to do what I do as the mayor. I work for Hackensack Meridian, so I work for a hospital network. So obviously we're very involved in the vaccine centers and testing and so on and so forth, and then just the treatment of the people within our communities, right, within the greater Red Bank community, the greater Homedale community. So, it is difficult. But you know what? I wouldn't have traded it for anything, because I'm glad that I was able to have the time to be home with her, and to see her grow up, because one our township attorney Brian Nelson told me he has 3 kids, and he was a young attorney when he first had his first child, and he said, I regret in some ways that I didn't spend more time at home rather than going out and doing his job, soliciting business and things of that nature for his law firms. So it has been if there's has to be a silver lining. One of the silver linings of COVID was my ability to be home with her more than I would have been. So there's good things and there's bad things, but I wouldn't trade any of it for the world.
So, how has Middletown as a whole responded in the last year to the pandemic?
Well, I think very well, and I know that may sound like, oh, what a typical answer, right, from a politician, but the great thing about Middletown is our ability to respond and to rise with an occasion. Abraham Lincoln, I think, in his second inaugural address, was very smart to say that the United States was not going to rise to the occasion; it was going to rise with the occasion. And I've always been cognizant of the fact to say with the occasion rather than to it, because from what point do we stop? And I think Middletown never stopped. And the reason I say that is because you still see our police, you still see our firefighters, our EMTs, all of our township employees. You see volunteers and organizations from all around, that are working, despite COVID, to continue to better this community. And one of the best days last year, I will absolutely say, was when Major Zelensky came home from a mission abroad. And he came home, and despite COVID and despite certain provisions, that was early on during COVID, that so many people, socially distanced, most of them wearing masks, lined the streets from Town Hall all the way to right off Harmony Road. And you know we were able to still live and keep moving forward and keep pushing forward and rising with the occasion and rising with the hand that we were dealt. And that's why I continue to do what I do, is because the people have continued to do what was necessary to help them get through. So whether it is checking on a neighbor or delivering groceries to somebody who might not feel comfortable going to the supermarket, or just thanking a soldier on his or her way home. Middletown rose with that occasion and will continue to rise with the occasion as we move forward.
What were some of the programs that the local government initiated in the past year to assist with COVID?
Well, so one of the big ones was we partnered with Immediate Care, and we cornered off most of the train station parking lot to provide um, uh, no out of pocket testing to be done over there. And that came about right around Thanksgiving time, a few weeks before Thanksgiving, which was important because we were really getting into that holiday swing, right? Thanksgiving, Christmas, Hanukkah, New Year's, and human beings are social creatures, right? We want to be around other people, and having the ability to give not people a sense of security, but a ability to go be tested, receive those results, and if they take the proper precautions, they can safely say that they do not have COVID. And that was big because a lot of people hadn't seen their parents, their grandparents, their grandchildren, whomever, for quite some time, possibly. I was with a woman today who said she still has not seen her grandchildren since the pandemic started, and that just breaks your heart. But she received her second vaccine today. So now she can wait her 14 days and she can go and see her grandchildren and not have to have that worry in the back of her mind that this could prove very bad for me. So that was one of the big ones, and we had tens of thousands of cars go through that parking lot. We still host it even today. Go through that parking lot and receive no out-of-pocket COVID testing. The other one, we were very fortunate to be able to partner with the Visiting Nurses Association of Central New Jersey. And that has provided us the ability, after some serious lobbying, we were able to get 100 vaccines per week from the VNA to provide to seniors 65 and older. And not only, and this is only 2 weeks old. So anybody that's watching this, when this goes up, they can call 732-615-3228, and they can pre-register, and they have the ability to go to our senior center, fill out all the paperwork, supply all the right documents, and in just 7 days later, 7 days, unlike the state's program and unlike most other programs, you get a call and an appointment for a vaccine to either go to Bell Works or to the YMCA in Red Bank. And in just 2 weeks, we have now vaccinated more than 1,000 seniors in that time frame. And that also includes us going to Luffman Towers, Tomaso, and our other low-income affordable housing complexes where some people don't have the ability or are unable to drive or get themselves to an appointment. So we came to them, and that's something that I'm really proud of. And the final program that I'll talk about is we, along with the Commissioner Director Tom Arnone, as well as Congressman Chris Smith, we were able to lobby the federal government and receive just over $400,000 in funding that we turned around and created in less than 2 weeks. We created the Middletown Economic Relief Program, which was able to help businesses and provide businesses with grants up to $15,000, which really was twofold, right? It gave business owners the ability to keep their doors open, and it also gave them the ability to retain the folks that you and I see every single day as employees of these companies. So whether it was No Limits Cafe or Zeke's Teas or nonprofits like the Monmouth Museum over in Lincroft, the Pancake House, right? Iconic places here in Middletown. We were able to help them out, and we gave out $422,000 in economic relief to not only help business owners keep their doors open, but also keep the employees employed. And that was what was most important. So I would say those are the three biggest programs that we put forth. Some new, some we're still working on. We actually hope to be able to replenish the fund for the Middletown Economic Relief Program to be able to provide more grants and maybe open up the eligibility a little bit more, since there's not as many restrictions on this funding, so that we can help more businesses all throughout town.
Wow, that's so cool. Um, so how have like annual events for the town been changed?
Last year was, unfortunately, we weren't able to have Middletown Day, right? And we divvied it up a little bit to create less of a crowd. Middletown Days of the past, we're getting 20,000, to up to 40,000 people coming through. So you had to adjust there. This year we're doing things similar, but we have a lot more time. Right? Last year was, I don't want to use the word unpredictable because it's used too often, but I guess that's really the best word for it. It was unpredictable in what the government was going to allow us to do in terms of the state and the federal government. So, we couldn't have Middletown Day. So, but we didn't know, can we have it? Can we not have it? Who knows? When you have to start planning in April for Middletown Day in October, very difficult, right? Very difficult to plan for. So this year we have a little bit more of a plan set forth, a timeline that we're going to be able to do, because again, April was very early in this pandemic. So, no one knew what the fall was going to look like. So this year we will be able to have Middletown month, is what we're calling it, but events all throughout the town. So not the events won't just happen at Croydon Hall, where Middletown Day normally occurs. But other things that we did that were impacted. Unfortunately, last year we didn't have a summer camp. This year we will. These are all important things to a lot of parents, even though some of them are working from home. They still need the ability to go on their conference calls and do their meetings and things of that nature. And a lot of them, at the same time, are essential employees that don't have the ability to stay home and do their job. So, having that summer camp is important. Having our youth week with the police department, we're doing that this year. Might look a little bit different than it's looked in years past, but we're going to be doing it because it's an important program for us to have. And we're going back to the Mayor's Wellness Challenge, where we'll have sporting events each and every Saturday, one Saturday per month. Usually it's the last Saturday. We have lectures and wellness challenges that we'll also be able to do each the third Wednesday of the month, and as well as our mayor's 5K. Right, the mayor's 5K that we did 2 years ago, it benefited our first responders. Last year, it benefited Infinite Love for Kids. But last year, we weren't able to get the turnout, so we had to do it virtually, which unfortunately hurt the fundraising base, right? Because why am I paying if I'm just running? I can walk outside right now and go for a jog, right? But this year, we're going to be benefiting Infinite Love for Kids yet again. Because it's a great local charity started by Andrea Gorsinger, who the Gorsinger family has given so much to Middletown, and obviously their mission is incredible, and we'll continue to give back to that.
And I also saw something like Mayor for a Day.
Yeah. Mayor for a Day last year, I have to tell you. So Mayor for a Day last year was my second year doing it. Now, each school is provided an opportunity in some way, shape, or form to raffle off a chance at Mayor for a Day, where kids get to be sworn in as the mayor. They get to take official action on behalf of the town. So 2 years ago, and the way it was in the past, pre-COVID, was the kids would come in to town hall. I would swear them in. They would sit at the township committee meeting, so on and so forth. So last year we couldn't do that because town hall was closed. So I went to them, and we went around all throughout Middletown, and it was unbelievable because I was fortunate enough to have a police escort, a fire department escort, EMS escort, and we were able to go lights and sirens to each of the little mayor's houses, and I would swear them in their driveways, and they all got to decorate their driveways or their houses, and it was great, and their neighbors got to see. So I think we're going to do that. We're going to do it the same way this year. Because I had a lot more fun, and I think the kids had a lot more fun doing it that way as well. So it's a great program, one that we've done for a while, and I can't wait to see how some of these driveways and houses are decorated, and the unbelievable outfits, suits, dresses that all of our little mayors decide to wear, because they all look sharp in the end.
Yeah, I saw a few of the pictures on like social media. I thought it was the cutest thing.
Yeah, no, it's a great program. It can't do anything other than put a smile on your face.
And you said that you're like kind of changing the way that you're going to do it in the future because it was like more fun that way. So, like, I know personally I've had a lot of changes this year, and like they weren't necessarily bad. Like some of them honestly benefited me more than have in the past. So, were there any other examples of that? Like that changes that you made this year that you're going to continue to use in the future?
Well, I think what you and I are doing right now, right, is an amazing ability for you and I, regardless of what our day looks like, regardless of our schedule, regardless of where we are. You and I are able to connect and discuss the topics of the day, how how life is changing, and hopefully how life will go back to what we once knew soon. But my ability to connect with residents, my ability to connect with other elected officials, my ability to work with them and discuss the matters of the day, and what impacts my town versus what impacts Aberdeen. I have a conference call coming up, where we're going to be discussing our budgets, our township budgets, which are coming up, right? But Fred Tagliarini is the mayor of Aberdeen and a great friend of mine, and he's a Democrat. And the reason I put that notice out there is because I've worked with Fred before I was the mayor, and we work amazingly together. I mean, we have an amazing relationship, and Fred and I are working together on a project right now with Commissioner Director Arnone about our budgets. And there will be 53 mayors and a county commissioner on a call all at the same time. Now, trying to schedule something like that would be an absolute impossibility, because getting elected officials together in the same place at the same time is like herding cats. It's absolutely impossible. So, and I can say that because I used to be a staffer for two politicians, and so I know exactly what that entails. But so how do I see moving forward things getting better? My ability to connect with another mayor, my ability to connect with 53 other mayors, my ability to talk about what we're doing here in Middletown with governors and other decision makers. I'm able to just sit in front of my computer. Now, the funny thing is, we've had this ability all this time. And that's the ironic part. And none of us used this resource that we had. But now that we found ourselves being required to utilize it, now opens up the possibility for us to never have an excuse not to be able to sit down face to face and have a conversation like we are right now. So I think that'll be the biggest change, and it's changed for the good. It's changed for the good. And our ability to have our broadcast our township committee meetings, and engage with the public that way, for them to they don't have to come to town hall and come to the meetings. And don't get me wrong, we're going to be reopening up town hall at our next township committee meeting to the public. But there's still going to be people who might not be able to get out of the house. There's still going to be people who may just feel more comfortable doing it from their home. I'd rather them be a town hall because it's great that human connection. You don't lose it over Zoom, but you do to some degree, right? So but our connection with our residents will be is now changed forever.
Do you have any advice to people who are continuing to struggle during this time?
One of the hardest parts about being mayor is the calls that you don't want to receive. And when you first become mayor, somebody is struggling, right? Somebody is not well. Those are the calls you don't want to get. And for new mayors, it's always going to be the hardest part of this job. Everything else aside, taxes, budgets, meetings, the tragedies and the emergencies are the hardest part. And I have a great support group of township committee members. But if I had to give advice to people who are still struggling, because there's undoubtedly people out there who are still struggling, the first thing that I would say is know that there are people out there who are struggling too. And know that you're not alone in this world. Know that you don't have to be isolated. There are resources out there. One of my heroes is a woman in town. Her name's Nikki Tierney. And if you don't know who she is, I encourage anybody watching this to go read about Nikki. But Nikki grew up in Belford and was a graduate of Modern Day, and she struggled with drug addiction. And she became a lawyer and found herself in a place where, obviously pre-COVID, this is well before COVID, she found herself alone. Nikki Tierney has more support in this town than any other person I know. She lost her way due to drug addiction and, found herself basically alone. And she has now not reinvented herself, but she has found her calling. And she inspires me. So this town has unbelievable resources and unbelievable people who are ready and standing by, people like Nikki Tierney, who are ready to help you when you are feeling down, when you are feeling alone. But there is a world out there that is ready to bring you back and to accept you back, regardless of what you've done, regardless of how the attitude you may have towards life, towards other people. There are resources and people out there ready to take you back with open arms, and embrace that welcoming.
Over this past year, what are some things that you've learned?
What have I learned? Well, I've learned a lot in terms of I've learned a lot in terms of well, I'll say this. There's a lot of politicians out there, right? There's plenty of us. The world doesn't need any more of us. But the one thing that I always think about is if politicians stopped talking so much and started listening more, while also understanding that not everyone is going to like what you have to say, and not everyone is going to agree with you. But as Ronald Reagan used to say, my 80% friend is not my 20% enemy. And I think the world could use a lot more politicians who think that way. So, but what I've learned over the course of this past year, and what I've known, but what I've learned more about, is that this town is made up of incredible people who are looking to better this world. And I've always said it before Reagan was born, and now after, I'll continue to say it, is that, parents are always looking to provide their children with a better life than they had, right? That's the goal of every parent. And it should be the goal of every parent. But what I've learned is that we thought that Middletown was built on great people before COVID. We know that Middletown is even greater and will be even greater post-COVID because of the relationships that we've made, of the people we've met during this pandemic, the um, the people who have come up to us crying, the people who have come up to us rejoicing. We will be better from this because we all had a sense of not only humanity but mortality, because we watched our healthcare heroes battle this disease. We witnessed and rejoiced as people were discharged from the hospital after 90 plus days with COVID-19. But we found small things that our community has always had, but we just never focused too much on. You know, it was the little league teams that the local pizza places and the local restaurants that have been sponsored by these places for decades. It was the little league teams going back to those same places to give back to them. It was the people lining the streets of Route 35 and Kings Highway and Harmony Road, welcoming back from police departments, the sheriff's department, fire departments from all across Monmouth County, welcoming back Major Zelensky. It was those small things that gave us hope. We always knew it was there. And while there was an incredible amount of tragedy that occurred during the last year, it was those small things that give us hope and that give us hope for the future. So that's what I've learned. And that's what I've come more to appreciate over these last 52 weeks. So I'm a better mayor for that. I'm a better elected official for that. And hopefully I'll be a better parent for that reason.
It's beautiful how something so isolating, like, truly brought our town together.
No question about it.
And my last question is, what are you looking forward to after the pandemic is over?
I'm looking forward to Middletown Day next year. I'm looking forward to getting back out there and doing the things that I did in 2019 as mayor that I wasn't able to do in 2020 and 2021. You know, we are looking at having our Memorial Day parade, the American Legion that the American Legion hosts. You know, we are looking forward to having the Veterans Day parade. These are all things that we're looking forward to having that we haven't been able to do, that we weren't able to do last year. But I'm looking forward to reconnecting with people, maybe not just through a screen, but face to face, and hearing their issues, hearing their complaints, even listening to their ideas. That's what I'm looking forward to, is getting to a place where I can go back to being the mayor that I was in 2019, but with more experience, more knowledge, and a greater understanding due to the circumstances we found ourselves. You know, former Mayor Fiore, Tony Fiore, was the mayor during Superstorm Sandy. And you know, him and I are very close friends, and he's been an incredible advocate for me, an incredible resource for me during this pandemic, because he understood what happens when you find yourself in a circumstance that you have no control over, right? And but this storm was one that hovered over us and continues to hover over us. Superstorm Sandy was swept out over the Atlantic. And what I'm looking forward to most is getting back out there and reconnecting with people that I might not have been able to connect with, and seeing people that I see on the streets. I see and I wave to and I say hello. but haven't been able to because they don't come out, or they're not out as often because they remain safe. So I think that reconnection with the public, it hasn't gone away. I still, when I go to ShopRite, when I go into the Junction, when I go anywhere, there's still people that I'm fortunate enough to see and get a lot of great feedback from of the things that we're doing in town, and so I hope that reconnection comes back sooner rather than later.
Do you have any plans for programs for students for the vaccine?
Yeah. So, well, one thing that I forgot to mention about the vaccine was I worked alongside the president and vice president of the Board of Education to partner with Hackensack Meridian Bayshore Medical Center to get our teachers and our faculty who were looking for the vaccine. We were able to get them on lists to get them so that our students and their parents feel safe, obviously, and so getting students, that will wait for that state guidance to come out. I haven't seen any that makes it where really students in our public schools are eligible for it. I will always be open to looking to get those eligible, those who I am told, from medical experts that it is safe for them to receive, get them the same opportunities we've gotten everyone else.
Can you just give some words of wisdom to students in our community?
I had mixed feelings, mixed emotions last year when, when our seniors didn't get a lot to experience a lot of the things that myself and others got to as seniors. But you are at a point in your life where it's just beginning. You're going on to go to college, go into the armed forces, go to a trade and learn a trade, anything that you can imagine. And don't let these last 14 months dictate anything for your future, because this is still the United States of America, where you have an unbelievable opportunity to excel and do what you choose to do in this life, whatever it is. Some people lose sight of that because they think that well, that's everywhere, that every country provides you that same opportunity, and it's not. It's not. In a lot of countries around the world, your path is dictated to by where you live, where you come from, and that's not the case here. So I know the last 13, 14 months have been tough, especially on our graduating seniors last year, on those who missed out on proms and hanging out with their friends and sports. I know that it can be difficult, but you have an incredible life ahead of you where you're going to experience, learn, understand, gather information, and experience things, from trips to whatever you set your sights on. So don't fall short when it comes to understanding that you still have those opportunities. Yeah, they may be a year late, and I feel terrible about that, but you still have these opportunities. These opportunities are going to come back, and one thing that many of our students today don't remember was events that happened in my lifetime. Now, I never experienced shutdowns before or anything like that, but my generation went through 9/11, September 11th, and increased securities and a sense of insecurity when it came to our own safety. And sometimes that we get that same feeling today, right? That sense of insecurity that we want to ensure ourselves, but that can't bring you down. because, like I said, this is the greatest country in the world because of the opportunities that you're going to be provided and the opportunities that are going to exist because of that. So grab the bull by the horns, go for it. Don't be afraid to do things, experience things that because of this pandemic, because of the things you've experienced over the last 14 months. Go out and do the things that you choose, that you think are wise decisions, legal decisions. I'm going to clarify, but go out there and live life, and just keep taking that next step forward. Like I said earlier, keep pushing forward and keep moving forward, and be you.
Thank you. And actually, one last thing.
Sure.
I saw that you did an interview at a Shared Universe podcast studio
Yeah, I'm
with
going back too. I'm going back. I think
really?
next month. In fact, I am doing a beer podcast April 14th, I want to say, with our new brewery in town, Ross Brewing Company. So they invited me to come and chat and do with a Shared Universe again. So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, very exciting. But I did it. I don't know. I've done it twice now, I think.
The reason why I asked is because I know Ming Chen because he's friends with my
Yeah,
TV film teacher. So I've done a few interviews and like
I love
segments
them.
with him. So
Crazy, but I love him. Ming is so much fun. He loves doing it, and when you love what you do, you're never working. And the fact that I could get to go to his studio and sit there surrounded by toys and all this crazy stuff that you never get to see anywhere else, makes it even better. But Ming is a great guy. I love being on with him, and I'm glad you know him because he's a good person for you to know. But yeah, so I'm going to be with him in a few weeks, so I'm looking forward to it.
thank you for talking to me
You
again.
got it. Anytime, and you're gonna have to come. We'll have to do a shared